Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much for joining me, Jag Singh, again for another dose of Positive Minds. Positive Minds is a program on which I like to bring on informative and inspirational individuals who give us advice on how we can improve our lives and those people around us. After the show, you can download my book, Unbreakable. Unbreakable is available on Amazon. Unbreakable was a story about my childhood in East London in the 1970s, and it speaks about all the hate crime that me and my family experienced during that time, and it shows how I got through that time and why I'm here today doing Positive Minds. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at JagSingh_ICAN for constant motivation. Thank you very much. Now, when my child was born in 2003, my first child, people came up to me and they said, Jag, there's no manual about being a parent. You have to kind of make it up as you go along. And you have to kind of learn as you go along and, do the best you can. But I'm here now telling you guys that there are manuals available out there. And I've got with me a guest today who's a parental expert who's going to speak about her manual and her great work. Sue Atkins, thank you so much for joining me on Positive Minds today.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. So, Sue, first of all, tell us, what is it that actually involves with the parenting expert work that you do? Please tell us a bit more about it.
Well, I was a deputy head and class teacher for over 25 years, and then my father died quite suddenly, followed by my mum within the same year. And I think it was a sort of a wake-up call I was sort of in my 40s, and I thought, gosh, what's my life going to be about now? You get aware of your sort of importance in life and you haven't got very long. So I decided that I'd been teaching for a long time. I was very interested in self-esteem for children. I was head of the department, pastoral care. So I went off and I retrained, I reskilled, I rethought, I replenished because, it was quite a traumatic time in my life. And so I retrained with NLP, with life coaching. And I had a degree in B.Ed honours anyway from being a teacher. And then that led to me being invited to write my first book, Raising Happy Children for Dummies, the Black and Yellow series. And then that led on to my next book, to be invited to write that, called Parenting Made Easy, How to Raise Happy Children. That led on to my children's journals called the Can Do Kids Journal, Discover Your Confidence Superpower, because it's all about self-esteem. And then I've got a new book out next month called The Divorce Journal for Kids, supporting children through that challenging time. So everything happened for a reason. And that's sort of how I became known on the radio, BBC, that led to Sky News, that then led to ITV This Morning, that then led to Disney. So yeah, a journey.
And I also understand, so you worked with the legendary Paul McKenna as well. Tell me a bit about that.
Yes, well, I'm very interested in self-development. So I was very interested after I did my life coaching diploma about something called neuro-linguistic programming, which is the study of excellent communication and the study of excellence. So I invested a great deal of money in my training with Dr. Richard Bandler, Paul McKenna and Tony Robbins. And so I'm an NLP master practitioner and trainer. And I put all of that information and all my studies and learning. I also study Adlerian psychology. So I put all that together. And I suppose my teaching skills mean that I can pass it on to other people. I simplify things and make it sound as if I'm having a conversation, but actually I'm moving people forward in their parenting and helping them. No finger pointing, no judging, none of that, just a helping hand about how to do it better, perhaps.
So, because I understand that you had all this passion, you've been a parental expert now for nearly 15 years, and I can see the passion as you speak that, you really want to get the message out there to people. You've got a BA honours, you've been a teacher. When you actually done your first book, when it was in front of you, your first book, how did you feel?
Oh, I can't believe it. I remember, meeting the woman and she said, would you like to meet up to see whether, you'd be up for writing this book? So we met up at Victoria Station, a bit like Harry Potter. We were, platform 8 and platform 9. We met in a coffee shop. And I bought NLP for Dummies and she bought NLP for Dummies because we didn't know each other. And I went, oh, it's a sign. So we were sitting there talking and she said, what would you write about? And what would the chapters be all about and all the rest of it? So I don't know where it came from. It started started to just flow through me. I hadn't written a book before. And then her language changed. So instead of saying, so if you write the book, to so when you write the book. And then I just went off and I started to write it. And apparently I wrote it quite quickly. I wrote it in 6 months full time. I, sat there and wrote it because I loved doing it. And then, of course, the process takes a bit longer between editing backwards and forwards. So the time you start and the time you finish is about a year. But it was a joy and a privilege to write it. And then that led on to the radio and to telly and all sorts of things. So it opened many doors for me. But I'm still very proud of that book. And that book is behind me, as you can see. It's a book you can dip in and out of. You don't have to sit and read it all in one go. Your child's got friendship issues. You go and look for it. Or they won't sleep in their own bed. Or they're being bullied. Or you want some tips about how to talk to them because you're shouting at them all the time. Then that book is really brilliant because you can just dip in and out of the chapter that suits you at that moment.
Excellent. And I just on Positive Minds, I'd like to get bring you guys on because you get some great messages. And something you just said there was brilliant. Not if you write your book, when you write your book. So people out there, jot that one down right now. It's not about if you're going to be successful. It's not if you're going to make that dream come true. It's when you're going to make that dream come true. Get a little notepad and, write that date when you're going to make it happen. And you also said there, Sue, that it took you 6 months to write a book. I mean, that's amazing. That is really, because I suppose you had all the expertise in you. It's like it's just boiling to come out. And I think the book was the bit where it all came out onto.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you write a dummies book, it has a structure. If you know the Black and Yellow series, there's lots and lots of books in the series. So there's a formula that you have to fill in, not fill in, but you have to keep to. And some people don't like that because it's a bit kind of restrictive. But I thrived on it and I loved it because I like the bite-sized bits. My second book, when I was invited to write that, has a different feel to it. It's more of a coaching book because I can take off my hat and tell you what to do. But I like to ask good questions in the book, as well as when I'm coaching with one-to-one with my families, to help you find your own answers, because not always does one size fit all.
Yeah, excellent. And also what you've said there, Sue, earlier on as well, about the fact that in your book, now a child growing up goes through many stages, and I'm glad to hear that your books cover most of those stages. And I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I come from a culture when I was brought up. I mean, a little smack around the head, and it was just a norm, and many cultures, it's acceptable. But I am here right now on Positive Minds saying this to everyone out there, and I'm sure you will back me up on this, Sue. It is not okay to smack a child, as far as I'm concerned, because it can have negative effects, affect self-confidence. Is that right, Sue?
Yes, I remember when I was writing my first book about the smacking issue, and I did a lot of research on it. And there's a massive study in the University of Texas, something like 500,000 families they followed for many, many, many years to study the impact of smacking on children. Now, it has a real negative impact on a child's self-esteem. Also, if you smack and they don't know why and you've lost your temper, what are they learning from you? That's how you solve problems. Also, you're bigger and stronger and they look up to you, certainly when they're little, for guidance. And if you just smack them, they really feel quite scared. And if you're a bit erratic about that and a bit chaotic around it, they will not learn to trust you and they will withdraw from you because, of course, you're hurting them and they don't understand why. And to me, if a child hits another child in the playground, you call that, aggression. And if someone hit you in the pub or in the park, you'd call that assault. And you'd call, you'd go and tell a policeman or something. So why is it that we smack our children? Because we can't use other methods to help them behave. Now, children do need firm, fair, consistent boundaries. They thrive on them. They need them. They need to know where the boundaries are. So it's a good place to start when I work with families, to get them to get a piece of paper and jot down one side what is acceptable and on the other side what isn't acceptable. Then talk to your partner about that. So you all sing from the same song sheet and the kids can't play you off against each other, and be consistent. You don't have to get cross, but you have to know what your rules are. And then you need to know what the consequences are to that. And you don't have to smack them, hit them, shout at them, but you can take, if a child is motivated towards something, then you reward them with a sticker if they're little, or an extra story, or, something that's nice that they can look forward to. If a child is motivated away from something, you say, well, how about giving me your mobile phone for the afternoon? That will certainly sort them out. So once you've worked out which way they're motivated, then you can have consequences. But, if you smack consistently all the time, you are damaging your relationship with your child. They're not going to want to come to you when they've got a worry or a fear, because they think you're going to be cross with them and hurt them and smack them. So do check out my books, do check out my website, because I've got webinars, I've got blogs, I've got all sorts of things to give you alternatives. And this is not being flaky and not having boundaries. This is not letting children do what they want, but this is about bringing up a child that has confidence, resilience, and is able to bend, not break through life, because they haven't been damaged in their childhood by being smacked.
And the reason why I was laughing there, Sue, was because you are 100% right. I mean, taking the phone off my daughter is like taking her arm away. It's like the phone,
I know.
you take away the phone. Also, it's the PlayStation. That's it, your PlayStation's going. Aggression is within no parent. I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm going to say I've got two teenagers. But I've never laid a finger on my children, and it is hard. To control yourself. You have to take a deep breath, and also we are out there working hard as well on this planet. We come home, and then you've got the kids playing up and blah, blah, and it can be hard, and you feel like you're going to erupt. But there are techniques like Sue, you've just said there. That as a parent we can learn how to calm down, how to take it easy, think about the consequences, how we're going to punish them. And guys, as Sue said, there's so much stuff out there that this lady's done, and the books, the interviews, just log on to them and catch them. Sue, I'm going straight to the crunch now, because as this 30 minutes I get isn't enough to go through this. So I'm going to just say to you right now, I will be inviting you again. I'm going to get to the crunch now. What is the best secret, you think, to bringing up children? What is the secret to bringing up healthy children? And obviously, well-being, mental health.
Well, respect. And children spell love Time. Spend time with them, not nagging them about holding the knife and fork and eating the broccoli or whatever it is. Spend time with them having fun, chatting with them, not at them, playing with them, building memories that last a lifetime with them, that are joyful, because it's about bringing up a child with a happy childhood. Otherwise, they're not then sort of damaged teenagers that go off the rails, or damaged adults that go on to continue that pattern. So it's about breaking the patterns sometimes of our parents and doing it your way, but always do it with kindness, and do it with empathy, and do it with praise and encouragement. That's the way to get a child to blossom and to bloom, not wither.
And on what you just said there, so I remember when Josh was growing up and Alicia was growing up, I had this thing where I've always got lots going on, with work, book, interviews, lots of stuff going on. And when people tell me that they haven't got time for the kids and they've got one job, I just find that really hard to believe sometimes. But you can make time. And I made sure that when they were growing up, I took some time aside every day and gave them undivided attention, which means my head's not in the office. I'm not thinking about making that interview tomorrow, doing that job tomorrow. Undivided attention, that was like tunnel vision. Hi, Alicia, let's play with your toys today. Make me a cup of tea of a make-believe toys, and let's get your dollies and let's go to a party. And you know what, Sue, you're so right. I'm so proud of the fact that I've done that, because that has affected their confidence. And they do know that sometimes when they've got any issues, they can come up to me and go, Daddy, can we talk to you about something? And I know they do that because I put that time aside to them. And now when they look at the stuff I did do while they were growing up, writing my book and everything, they think, Daddy, did you do that while you was bringing us up? And so what gets me, really cranks me sometimes, is when people say, I haven't really got time for my children because I'm too busy with work, too busy with dealing with this. Those children did not ask to come on this planet. It's the parents' responsibility to give them that time.
Yes, and you have to kind of go back to basics. Why did you have children in the first place? And, go back to that joy and go back to that innocence and go back to connection. And yes, we are tired, we are overwhelmed, we are going through a pandemic. Yes, it has been very challenging. Yes, it is very tiring when you've got young children. We've just gone through homeschooling, or home learning as I prefer to call it. So it's not been easy, but it's important. And it's important that the memories that the children have of their childhood give them stability and security and love, because from those really great basic roots, they can go on to flourish. So it's very important. And spending just 15 minutes a day playing with them or listening to them or cooking or baking. I have an idea of an ing activity: biking, bowling, baking, singing, dancing, playing. I don't know. Being with your kids is important, and not always being so negative. So imagine you've got a camcorder on your shoulder and it's noticing what you say to your children. But more importantly, it's noticing how you say it, because the tone of your voice says so many things. And then notice your body language. Are you a bit tense or a bit aggressive? Yeah. Or are you open and kind of willing to kind of get involved with them and curious about them and want to spend time with them, reading stories or whatever it is, depending on their age? So think of some of these things this weekend. Don't beat yourself up if you think, oh, I'm not doing that. Start, from today to make one or two very small changes that will make a huge difference in the lives of your children going forward.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head there, because it's something that me and my children used to do as well. It just come to my mind. It was the stairs time. What we used to do, we just go and sit on the stairs, me, Josh, and Alicia, and just sitting there. Just have a chat. How's school? Yeah, how's things? And we used to call ourselves a stair gang. I said, come on, guys. What they didn't realise, what they realise now, is that what that actually was just quality time with us just sitting in the stairs for 5-10 minutes, just talking, And even now my boy is 17 now, he says to me, Dad, wait a minute. I know why you did that, because you wanted to just chat to us to make us feel loving. And another one thing I wanted to say was about time. You said earlier, time is so important. When my wife sometimes used to say to me, Jag, why are you jumping on the trampoline and for hours and hours? Why are you playing football with them? And it was like, well, they're not going to be young forever. They're not going to be children forever. And I want to make sure that we cherish this time, and when they grow up. And she used to join in. She was like, you got a good point there. And she should join in with us on the trampoline and everything. But I remember while they were growing up, I always say to Emma that, they're not going to be children forever. And we're going to wish. I don't be one of those parents who sits there and wishes that, I would have spent more time with them, would have played with them, but I couldn't because I was working. And I know some people out there, it's hard sometimes because they're working and that. But, you have to find not only the time to do your work, there's a time to be with the children, and there's a time for chill out, because sometimes children are hard work, aren't they, Sue?
Yeah, and I think I talk about it on my webinar around parental well-being and mental health. Actually, it's on my website. I talk about we time, our time, and me time. Me time. Women in particular are very bad at giving themselves time to look after their own well-being and mental health. Now, that could be going for a walk, it could be reading a book, it could be having a bath quietly away from the family sometimes, so you recharge your batteries. Then there is we time, where you need to build the relationship between your partner and yourself, because that needs nurturing as well and watering, and so it won't wither and die, because the children do eventually leave home, and then what have you got? And then there's our time, where you go for a dog walk, or you ride a bike, or you bake a cake, or whatever it is you do, or play a board game, or play a game on the PlayStation. Whatever it is, get involved with your kids and give them time, and then take care of yourself too. So there's a lot of plates that you have to spin: me time, our time, and we time. Have a little think about that this week and look at your own. Are you replenishing your own energy? Because then you come back full of beans, full of patience, and full of kind of joy again. But if you're running on empty, you're always going to be grumpy and tired, and that's not much fun to live with, is it?
Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head there, Sue. That is so true. So, as an expert, what would you say are the signs if a child is suffering from some sort of mental health issue? What are the signs? What can parents look out for, please?
Well, there's loads of things that, they might not be sleeping, they might not be eating, they look more anxious. A parent knows their child better than anyone in the world. And you notice if they seem a little hesitant, or if they're teenagers, if they're staying more and more in their bedroom and playing on games and not coming out of their bedroom, or if they're not perhaps washing or having showers or changing their clothes. There's all sorts of signs like that you think, I don't think they're okay. And so it's about not going at them and saying, what's the matter with you? It's about creating an environment where you can chat, certainly with teenagers, maybe even when you're driving, where you're doing something alongside them, and you just go, how's it going? What's happening? And just create that environment where they can start to gently, if they want to, open up to you. Now, I remember my son, I was teaching then, and I taught 35, other people's children during the day or whatever. They were 4-year-olds, I think, at that time. And he came, I'd gone to bed with a hot chocolate, a good book, and my glasses. And he came and sat on the end of the bed. I think he was about 14. And he clearly wanted to have a chat. And I thought, oh my God, I'm so tired. Anyway, I put the book down. I put the hot chocolate away. I took the glasses off. And he started to chat with me. Now, a wise parent goes with the flow of when their child wants to talk to them. They don't always want to talk to you when they come out of school straight away. How was your day? Fine. Anything wrong? No. They might talk to you perhaps when they're little, after a bath or in the bath or at story time when you're reading them a bedtime story. So look out for the moments when your child is wanting to open up with you and to you. And then the wise parent makes that little bit of time to listen. Don't rush in to rescue them all the time. Don't fix stuff. Sometimes just go alongside them to listen. And that's a gift.
Excellent. You have put that so well, Sue, so well. Sue, are you available for people to talk to, yeah? If any parents out there want to contact you, if they've got something that's worrying them, how can they please get in contact with you? And please tell me a bit more about your website. How can people link onto it?
Yeah. Well, I do a regular podcast. I do 2 podcasts, actually. I talk to an expert every week in my Parent Verse podcast that you can listen to for free. Or I do a weekly free podcast that's got lots of different topics. And you can I have a section there called Don't Stew, Ask Sue. So you can send me in your question through the podcast or through my email, sue@thesueatkins.com. And then I'll answer your question on my podcast.
Superb, excellent. So going back to what I was just saying earlier on about when my children were growing up, I remember when I had to have an early shift the next day, and my wife used to do a late shift at work, and so it used to be me and the children. My wife used to come home at 10 o'clock, and it's on a weekend, and she used to say to me, make sure they're only young, they're only about 6, 7, and I remember Emma used to say to me, make sure when they're in bed by 8, 9 o'clock. No jokes, so when Emma used to come home, we used to have the music bursting, dancing about, the kids were sweating, and she's going, no, Jack, they need to go to sleep. I said, and they go, no, Mummy, we love dancing, we love singing with Dad, we enjoy ourselves, and that's what the child is about. Listen, so unfortunately, as I said before, it's only 30 minutes, I'm running out of time, we're running out of time now, but do you know what, it's been great having you on the show, and I wish you all the best with everything you do. Thank you so much.
My utter pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. So there you have it, guys. Sue Atkins, okay? Get on her website, look at her podcast. She's out there with great information. And, it's the manuals are there, okay? People told me there was no manuals. And, just log on to Sue Atkins' books and, get in contact with her if you need some help, some advice, but just don't suffer in silence. And a childhood for a child should be fun, exciting, enjoyable, so make that time, spend that time with them, because they're not going to be kids forever. I mean, my parents always told me that I'll be a kid forever, but, I'm never going to grow up. So there you go, guys. Thank you very much for joining me, Jag Singh, on Positive Minds on the Seek channel. And until the next time, please keep smiling and keep moving forward. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.